Hey, what's up, everybody? We have a new YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe right now. Leave a comment on the video. Share it with your friends. It's also a podcast, 3 and Out, wherever you listen with me, John Middlekauff, Apple, Spotify. We have you covered, as well as thevolume.com. We have merch. Check out. I got 3 and Out hats right now. Thevolume.com. Search the podcast. Buy some merch. Okay, time for the mailbag. Very, very easy to get involved. My name, @John Middlekauff on Instagram. Fire into those direct messages. Big fan from Ireland. Wondering your thoughts on the Bengals this upcoming year. Burrow, when healthy, has had the most success, first Mahomes, of any quarterback in the league. Josh Allen has had a lot of success. His teams have just not won, but he has not been the reason they've lost. But I hear what you're saying. Those two guys, Burrow and Josh, play a lot better against Chiefs than Lamar did. Even if T. Higgins leaves, which he wouldn't just leave, you'd tag and trade him, so you'd get something. Chase the top 5 receiver in the league. Yes, their defense sucked last year, but I can't see it being this bad again. They absolutely bossed the Niners around last season at Levi's. They did. And I still have a feeling they can beat anyone when they're on, despite the Ravens being the perceived top team in the AFC North. Do you think the window for a Super Bowl is gone? I don't. Now, their defense was better a couple years ago, clearly. But you hit on the right draft picks, like you can find safeties. You had a high-end safety. He left in free agency. You can find that. Part of what made you pretty special were the 2 wide receivers. So if you got them both next year, you're fine. If you do trade them and you get a high first-round pick, when I say high, like a pick in the 20s, or even a pick in the early 30s, if it's like a high second-round pick, late first-round pick, you better hit on that pick. There'd be a lot of pressure on it. But talent on your team, when you got a quarterback who's that good, you always got a chance. So division's hard. Yeah, it's difficult. But if Burrow's healthy, you should be a top 5-6 team in the league. If he's not, you're screwed. Screwed in the sense you're still actually kind of watchable, but you got no chance of winning big. I mean, you might win some games. You know what I mean? That is an awesome point Andy made on the podcast. Since losing time of possession in the first half of the Super Bowl, it actually left them with a full arsenal of unused plays they could leverage in the second half to put the Niners on their heels. Yeah. Andy was good. If you haven't heard that interview, that was on Tuesday's podcast. Question for the pod. With the huge salary cap increase, will the huge salary cap increase widen the gap between the top teams and the lesser teams? Teams like the Chiefs, Niners can hold on to players they otherwise would have lost, while the lesser teams will end up having to pay A money for B players. Well, one thing, part of having salary cap space, a lot of it, means you probably haven't extended a lot of guys in your own team. Right? When you think about teams who are just not going to be as active in free agency on a yearly basis, they're extending their own players. Like part of the reason the Ravens have let guys leave for years and not been a huge player in free agency, extended their own guys. Think about the Patriots, the 2 different iterations, the first championship dynasty and the second one. They had a core group of guys. Now, that doesn't mean you can't buy a player here and there, but whenever I see, Team X, ton of cap space, okay, sign 1 or 2 players. Christian Wilkins from the Dolphins, if I was the Texans or whatever the teams are with a lot of cap, the Commanders, yeah, buy him, but I don't need to buy 5 guys, right? Buy guys that fit my scheme if I'm going to pay a lot of money. So I think there's a balance of teams that usually have a lot of cap space, either have a young quarterback or a team that's not very good. There's not it's not often that you find a team that just was in the Final Four that's like, oh, they got the second most cap space in the league. Usually not how it works. Question for the pod. I'm a 30-year-old guy that just went back to school to finish my degree. Now I've been offered a job in my field with a salary that's under 60 grand. But here's the thing. For the past 3 years, I've been pouring my heart and soul into opening my own cocktail bar, and I estimate that I'll need around $450K in investment to make it happen. I'm single, no kids, and I'm torn between taking a stable job for financial security or diving headfirst into entrepreneurship. On one hand, the job offers stability, a steady income, benefits, and sense of security. It's the safer option. On the other hand, starting my own business is a dream I've been nurturing for years. What are your thoughts? I think you've already answered your own question. You said for years you've been pouring your heart and soul. Now, obviously, you throw out a number of basically $500,000, even in these inflationary times. I don't know where you're going to get the money. It's obviously not going to be easy. But what do you have to lose? Right? Once you have children, once you have a wife, I assume you maybe don't have a home, so you don't have a mortgage. Now's the time to take a chance. What's the worst happens? It fails. It's always like, should I ask her out? Well, what's the worst thing she's going to say? No. So yeah, why not try it? You can always find a job. You'll always be able to find a job. You got a degree, sounds like you're an ambitious person. I would take a chance. Now, just based on the number you threw out, it's clearly a tough endeavor. I've never worked in the restaurant bar business. I have a lot of family and friends who have. It's well documented that it's pretty difficult. Most of them fail. So if you go in with the mindset of like, this is going to be really hard, there's no guarantees, right? Instead of just, you can't go into the mindset like 100%, it's going to be the number one cocktail bar in my city. But like, I'm going to do everything humanly possible. Give yourself, 36 months or 24 months to make some stuff happen and see where it lands. What's worst case scenario? A couple of years, it didn't work out and you're 32. Modern medicine, health, you got 50 years left of life. So if it's something you're going to regret, try it now. To me, if the job offer had been a ton of money, I'd be like, try to do them both at the same time. If it was like several $100,000, use some of that money, maybe try to utilize some of that to help you start. But this, you'll be living basically paycheck to paycheck anyway. Follow your dreams. I get the trade in division held logic, but to me, if you're Minnesota and you think you can trade up to top 3 to get a franchise quarterback, it's medical malpractice not to do so because you're worried about trading a position player in the division. Maybe the best position player in the league, no doubt, but per your Jets bit, which I love on nailing every pick, but not the quarterback, to me, it's bananas to forego the opportunity that exists. I think he's talking about, someone asked a question last week, why doesn't Minnesota offer Jefferson to the Bears to trade up to 1? Because if I'm the Bears, I hang up on you. I don't want Jefferson and Justin Fields. I would just rather have Caleb Williams. Because Justin Fields, I don't care if I got Justin Jefferson, Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, and DJ Moore. We're not going far. He's not good enough. So the moment you get to the point where you're not good enough and you get this opportunity with the number 1 overall pick, who knows? I mean, some people are saying Jaden Daniels. Pick whoever you think is the best quarterback. That's the move. Justin Jefferson, who is an elite player, could argue when healthy is the best wide receiver in the league. I'd hang up the phone. Yeah, thanks for the offer. We love the guy as a player. It's less about the division. If I mentioned that, if I said that, I don't even necessarily, that's not the reason I would say no. You have the chance to get a quarterback who can change your franchise. You always do that. Like, why would they be willing to trade Justin Jefferson? Not just because of quote unquote quarterback, because a guy that could change your franchise. Well, why wouldn't you just do that if you're the Bears? DJ Moore's not as good as Justin Jefferson, but you already got a stud wide receiver. Mailbag. Am I a natural born general manager? I'm joking. But the Panthers have had 2 first-round picks that were so obviously bad that makes me wonder. Ekonwu, I think, is the offensive lineman that they drafted in like the top 10. First-round left tackle from NC State is knock-kneed, which in scouting terms means your knees kind of hit. It's a scouting term when you're out of practice. You see a guy's knock-kneed or bow-legged. It's how the old scouts talk. How is that not a giant red flag when you're being asked to block some of the freakiest athletes on the field? Bryce Young, the average size of a high school point guard. I, I just think the level of talent needed to overcome being that small is too much. I agree. Even Kyler Murray, who I think is a one of one in terms of special, in terms of athletic ability, has some limitations that other guys don't, for sure. And Kyler Murray is a dramatically better talent than Bryce Young. It ain't even close. I watched Kyler Murray last year off an ACL tear up teams down the stretch. Not really my cup of tea, even though it sounds like he's matured a lot. I just, small quarterbacks, like ideally, I like bigger, stronger guys, Doesn't mean they can't be good, but once you're like 5'9", like pretty small, 6'1", 6'1" small. I remember being around Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, he looks small. You ever meet like Josh Allen or some of these guys? They're fucking huge. I'll never forget meeting Carson Palmer. I'm like, this guy looks like an NBA center. Am I being too simple here? Or are these? I think here's part of the problem. I loved Bryce Young as a player because I respect how good he was at Alabama. But the moment you see him in pads, you go, I don't know if this can work. Even if the team's really good around him, it's very, very hard to overcome that. Star players who are tiny are such outliers in pro sports. It is so hard to be Allen Iverson, Jose Altuve. Just go around pro sports in general. They usually are freak talents. You watch Bryce, like average arm, bad athlete. I can't. I'd be lying if I broke down the offensive lineman. Wasn't one of the things with the offensive lineman that a lot of people thought he was a guard, not a tackle? So offensive lineman can be hard when you start doing the projections, especially really high. With the 18-game rumors, with more international games mixed in, I believe the roster size should increase, but also another bye week should be added for the health of the players. What is your opinion, Raider Nation? I think you essentially get 2 byes throughout the season because you get a true bye, and then you usually get that mini bye, which is the Thursday night game. So if you play the Thursday night game, usually your bye is, spread out throughout the season. So I heard the Kelsey brothers say this. They love Thursday night games because once it's over, you get those extra 3 or 4 days, which is a game changer. Ideally, I wouldn't complain if there were 2 byes. I'm realistic. Like, do I think they're going to do that? I don't. The 18 games, like I said, is not only coming, it's because everyone makes more money. And this is a business where the goal is to make more money. This isn't just like it's everyone benefits, right? I saw Kayvon Thibodeau, the lineman, the pass rusher from the Giants, is on Twitter talking about like if they go to 18 games, the gambling. It's like, bro, you guys share the revenue from them. You get a piece of the pie. You just happen to split it with 53 guys a team for 32 teams. And the rosters have expanded because the practice squads are much bigger. And let's face it, those guys from practice squads, the majority of them end up playing throughout the season because of injuries. Get in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers who deposit $5 or more can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 back in a bonus bet. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code JOHN. New customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 if your first bet loses. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code JOHN. The crown is yours. Big fan of the show. Never miss an episode. Did you have a chance to read this article by ESPN bashing the NFL, and what is your reaction? What benefit does ESPN get out of this as a stakeholder of the league? I have not read the article, but he linked it here. From tragedy to Taylor Swift, the cost of the NFL's invincibility. I think a lot of writers have this weird, I don't know, animosity, probably the wrong way to put it, jealousy. They want it to fail. They do, because they like root against success in a weird way. And I refuse to read that. Like, I just feel like I'll get dumber reading that article. Howard Bryan wrote it. I don't even know who that is, but I don't care. I think there's some of these guys are holding on for fucking dear life. Like, who's reading that article? Like, oh, sweet points. Yeah, NFL's in trouble. So my opinion is like, I only am going to read so many articles throughout the day. Probably not wasting many brain cells on that bad boy. Just wondering, are you in favor of Andrew Berry's proposal to extend the trade deadline longer in the season? I think his proposal has it moving from week 8 to week 10 for sure. Why would you? Here's a hot take. Why even have a trade deadline? Who cares? Why don't you have the entire season? Like, once the regular season ends, you can't make a trade. What if I want to make a trade December 1st? Why do we have trade deadlines? Honestly, I don't even know the answer. I'm sure there was some thought behind it a long time ago. But in 2024, do you need a trade deadline? Do you need a trade deadline? What if I want to trade for a player week 11? What if the other team knows he ain't coming back? I get like a 4th round pick for him. I just cancel the trade deadline, to be honest with you. So yeah, I support the move for sure. Some hockey NHL contracts are structured so that a no trade clause is a set number of teams the player can choose to not be traded to. Depending on the contract, some players might have only 2 selections, while some have 20, depending on what they negotiate. Upon learning that they are on the trade block, they will use that number of selections to eliminate teams they don't want to go to. Is this something that the NFL does as well? Baseball does that also, right? Was it Scherzer last year or Verlander has a bunch of teams in his contract? I think I think Scherzer ended up waiving it to go to the Rangers, if I remember correctly, or maybe it was Verlander. I forget. It's definitely prevalent in baseball, which the players in negotiations, the star ones, have a lot of juice. I don't know much about hockey. I'm pretty sure with the NFL, it is just a no trade clause or nothing. Like, there's no middle ground. And if you have the juice, which most players do not, right? Just like most humans, even if you're a successful earner at your company, like, they can still replace you. Don't have that type power. But we have seen quarterbacks for sure have no trade clauses. Derek Carr had one with the Raiders when he re-signed with Josh McDaniels. Russell Wilson, I'm pretty sure, had one as well. So most star quarterback, I think Jalen Hurts has one. So a lot of quarterbacks get them, but most players don't get to go, in my contract, I want to add these 7 teams. You cannot trade me to, I don't like the cold. So Buffalo, New England, New York teams, Washington, Philly. I'm cool with the LA teams, Arizona, Raiders, Cowboys. it just, the NFL is still old school that way, baby. It's a management league. And it's not, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I just don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. That'd be awesome if you just put like 5 teams on your list of you could not trade me to. It'd be fun to make fun of them. Okay, last question from Felix. What's your opinion on the Broncos releasing Russell with the huge dead cap number? Would you rather split the $85 million and void the 1 year in 24 and 25, or would you prefer to eat the whole 85? Realistically speaking, the Broncos wouldn't be a Super Bowl contender anyway in 24. So better get it over with as quickly as possible, right? What would you do from a strategic standpoint? Greetings from Germany. Like your content a lot. I would eat the money. I would just take it right on the chin. When you're like a kid, and when I say a kid, I mean, it could be like in high school, and you get in trouble, and he's just like, you better tell the truth. Just take your medicine. And you're just like, I don't want to tell the truth here. I'm going to get in so much trouble. And then you do it and you realize that was the right thing to do. I think you just take it. I think you just let this number bend you over this year. Screw you. right? 85 million, which that number's never getting topped. I think the salary cap would have to go to like $600-700 million to ever see $85 million in dead cap space. I'm eating it all. Why do I want to split the two numbers? Because Sean Payton, year 3, you're definitely going to be trying to win, and you're going to still have this albatross of a number. I saw Matt Ryan and Aaron Rodgers, 2 dead cap numbers, did not equal the $85 million. So it's a lot to stomach. My guess is if I'm a betting man, they split it up. I would 100% not do that. I would take it right now and draft a quarterback. Because I forget, I saw the numbers. Maybe it's like 38 this year, 40 next year, 42, or whatever. It's some high 30 and low 40 number in some order. I'm just taking it on the chin. I really am. I mean, which sucks. Like, no one wants to suck year 2, but it's a double whammy. If you can trade up and draft a quarterback, it is 100% the right move. Take the huge hit, use the quarterback to get him some experience, see if he can play, and then you're probably going to get a top pick next year, and you can kind of restock the cupboard with high draft picks. So I'd eat the money. I really would. I think they'll get a lot of shit if that's the route they take. And I think long term, I think Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger said, successful rich people always take short-term losses for long-term gains. Basically, like, they always can see the big picture. A lot of people, and I think just financially, kind of a poorer mindset, and not acting like I haven't made this mistake as well. You're always thinking short-term. And when you can think big picture, it allows you to make moves that in like 3 years you look back that take you to another level, right? But when you're always living in the moment, like, oh, we need that extra cap space to maybe sign a player, like you said, they're not winning anything this year. It ain't happening. Eat it all. Doubt they do it, but I would commend them if they do, because I think big picture, it's 100% the right move.